Welcome, this is Helen from helensheartcreations.com. Thank you for joining me in my studio today. Today I'm going to make this card. It was an entry I made in a sketch challenge actually, where I used quite a bit of poetic license or artistic license in how I actually interpreted the sketch. But I was playing with using re-inkers, making my own ink pad, multicolour ink pad, and yeah, just having a play really, exploring. So I thought I'd just show you what I came up with. First of all, I chose an unusual size card. It's actually, the card itself is 15 centimetres by 9, which translates into 5 7/8 by 3 1/2. So that's the actual card. So let's I'll show you what we use. So I cut a card that is that size, and then I cut a layer to put on top of that card that is 3 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch less than the actual card size, which for something this kind of layer I think just makes a nice border. It's not an obvious border, but it just kind of stands the card out a little bit. And for the stamps, what I've used is the image here and the sentiment come from Healing Hugs. So this is a distinctive stamp. So the depth of shading is actually built into the stamp itself. It's a red rubber stamp. This is it here, ready mounted. And I used Wishing You Quick and Complete Recovery, and I thought today for this example I'd use Sending You Healing Vibes. Then for the background stamps, I've used this word stamp here, background, and this vine stamp here from Very Versailles. So what my sort of messy experimentation involved was a version of baby wipe, the baby wipe technique, which is a way of making your own ink pad by using baby wipes as the stamp, as the medium to hold the ink. I was watching a New Zealand stamper who was sort of using, I think she was using sprinkles, which very, very messy, and so she had put down this is a poppy pad. So I went looking, just got it in my local grocery store. It's a packet of absorbent, quite thin pads that are designed to put around your house if you've got a little puppy that has accidents everywhere. I don't know about such things because I've never had a fur baby, as my friends refer to them. But anyway, so this is the basis, and what I've discovered is, initially when this was brand new, and I put my 3 ink colour re-inkers on it, I've got Coastal Cabana, which is at the top. Then I've got Gorgeous Grape, which is in the middle, and then Merry Mallow, which is at the bottom. And then that was fine. And then, but I find that these things are completely reusable. I just left it. I left it for a day, or maybe it must have been 2 days actually, because I'd been away. And I came back and I said, oh, I wonder if it still works. And it did. Now let's see if it still works, because this is now the 3rd time of reusing it. But I just took some water in a little spritzer, which it looks like this is going to be empty on me very quickly. But I just spritzed it. Don't want to get the water over everything else though. This is not water paper. This is just ordinary Whisper White cardstock, watercolour paper. I mean, this is just ordinary white cardstock, and just because I'm really doing ordinary stamping, it's just that I'm making my own ink pad to put the stamp in. So, but first of all, before I get into that, I did the first stamp, this one, oops, with an ordinary smoky slate ink pad. And what I did actually the first time was I stamped it full strength. So, well, sometimes actually, yeah, that's right. I just stamped it full strength, but I kind of felt that it really needed to be 2nd generation stamping. So I'm just going to use the 1st generation of stamping just to check that I do have it straight on the block. I also have it upside down. So that's good. 2 reasons for doing a first generation stamping. And then I just kind of eyeballed it straight on the paper. I've got it lined up with the block and just put it down. So this one I felt, you can't see it, this one I felt was just a little bit too strong for what I wanted, and I felt that the sentiment wasn't strong enough. So what I decided to do, oh, done it the wrong way around. I've used basic grey. Okay, I had used smoky slate last time, and I was going to use basic grey because this needed to be stronger. But anyway, I've used basic grey for the background, but it's second generation, so hopefully that will be okay. And smoky slate takes a back seat. Oh well, live crafting, you know, such is life. Anyway, one of the things I use then is I have a chamois, Simply Chamois, which I forgot to get out, but here it is. I just keep it in a plastic bag. I don't seal the bag, I just fold it over, and then I just take my stamp and just put it inside the plastic bag and rub it against the chamois. I'll do that off camera rather than making a mess in my workspace there, because I need the same block. I only have one of those blocks. I need this block for this stamp. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spray that one more time with water, and we'll see if this works. So you don't want to do too much tapping on this, because otherwise you get all the colours muddled up. And also it starts to take the ink off, but I can just look and see that there is ink on there. And then this one, it doesn't really matter about direction. I can just sort of do it roughly and put it down on top. Make sure it's made a really good contact, because it is, you can see actually that it is beginning to get quite a bit lighter because it's been used several times. So anyway, we're going to try it one more time, one more shot. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to stamp the flower. Now with this, we actually need to do it twice. So I'm going to try and get roughly the same pattern of ink on it. So I'm going to just press it in, quite get it off there. So let's see how that stamps. And it's a bit kind of dodgy over that side, so let's have another go here. And I'm just going to give me a second here. I just have to go get some more water. I'm very lucky I have a sink right in my craft room, so it's very handy, especially when one doesn't prepare properly and make sure there's enough water in one spritzer before one actually starts crafting. So let's be a little bit more generous with the water and see if I can revive this a little bit. Okay, so let's take this, and that looks a lot better. It's probably going to be too much now, too wet. Do it! It's really quite strong. I do need 2 of these, as I said. And I'm just checking that that is dry, because I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to reuse the back of this. Just make sure that I don't put it. Now I do need these to be roughly the same, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to hopefully cut out. I'm trying to check that I don't cut through the one that, actually it doesn't matter if I cut through the one that's on the back. You'll see why in a moment. It doesn't matter if I do that. So not everyone likes fussy cutting, but there is no die set that goes with this. So it really, you know, there's no need to be afraid of fussy cutting. You just make sure you've got a really sharp pair of scissors. Our snips are perfect for this. Then move the card rather than your scissors. And if you've seen one of my other videos, I also talk about the breathing. If you breathe out as you close your scissors and cut. Difficult to do when you're talking. And you breathe in when you stop, or you have to open your scissors again. You get a smoother cut, I find, but actually I think really what the breathing is doing, it's just helping you to focus and concentrate. And if you leave just a little bit of a border, especially with this particular, then it's easier, and it has the image stand out a little bit more too. And that's when you do have a die cut, you'll notice that is how they work. There is a little bit of a white border around the image, and that helps it pop from the page, because usually when you're doing this, what you're going to do is give your image, give your overall project dimension, and so that's what you're after, is having it pop off the page. And we'll achieve that with dimensionals as well. That extra bit is getting in my way in my back of my hand. So, and then some people are a lot faster than I am at this. So I'm sorry that you sort of watching the process. But as I said, there's no need to be afraid of fussy cutting. It doesn't take long to get practiced at it. So now we don't actually need to fussy cut out the other one, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball roughly where I want this. So having this one in roughly the same orientation, I am going to stamp my sentiment. Now it is important to get it the right way up, otherwise I have an upside down flower on the whole thing. So let's get this, sending healing hugs. And I see it's straightness is not hugely important, but it just roughly, and then kind of looking at where you want it in terms of relationship to the flower, because what I'm going to do is, I'm just wondering if that might just be a little too close to the edge there. Let's see if this works. If not, we'll have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my from here, and I'm thinking that that's going to put that quite a long way over there, isn't it? So let's try it and see how it goes. I really should have had that the other way around, but anyway, I didn't. So let's see how we are, because this one actually cuts in the middle of the edge of the die that you can see. So anyway, I'm just going to, my big shot is right off to the side. I'm just going to go over and do that now. And if this doesn't work, well, we'll just do it again. And that's the great thing, you know, it's if something doesn't work, you can always redo it. So the idea here is that I'm going to be taking this one, and I'm just checking that you can actually still see me in the camera. And what I'm doing is I'm finding on here where, she says confidently, finding on here where this fits. There it is. Okay, there it goes. And then what I'm going to do here, not quite there, was it? There it is, it's more like that. And then it's going to go to the edge of that there. So really I'd have preferred it like this one a little further over, but it's not really a big deal. And then I just put this on with Tombow glue. Make sure it's just in the middle bit, because if it's outside it just I may actually have got that too far outside, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. What we're going to do here is put that on there, which is roughly where it goes on the thing. End up getting glue absolutely everywhere, which is usually my usual trick. I'm just going to leave that to dry a little bit before I push it down to actually try and make sure it's properly stuck. And if I'm not sure, I do believe I've got glue outside, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my silicone mat and I'm going to push it on that so it doesn't stick to my paper there. And I'm just going to hold this down now and really kind of, yeah, so there was some, you can see, maybe you can see there's a bit of glue on the silicone mat, but this is great. This is a great thing. When that dries, it will just peel right off and everything will be hunky-dory. And then what I did was I took these 3 strands, and it's our flax ribbon, but I've pulled it apart. I've pulled the strands out from there, and I actually don't have a full piece to show you, but if you've seen the flax ribbon, you'll understand. It's pretty obvious what one does. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this. And I'm going to have this hang down there. Slightly. So I'll take one dimensional that kind of, its more intention is to stick that down than it is to stick this to the card. Strip away. Oops, that one's already off. And now take this one. And then it's just really very, very, very straightforward. Position it sort of roughly where you want it. And line that up with the edge. Should get it straight. And then this. What I did was can you see what I'm doing? Forget to look and see, check that I've been shot in the camera here. And then, okay, so just cut off these. And I tend to do it individually so they don't look sort of so chopped off uniformly. Help if I can actually get the scissors around the twine, around the ribbon. I'm just going to, I'm in a very bad habit of putting open ink pads to the side. And so with that then, I'm just going to take some Tombow glue. This glue is, if you haven't used it, it's absolutely wonderful. It, because it gives you wiggle room. I'm not very good at getting things straight, and it dries clear if you get it, and you can always use a really good eraser. If you get it where you don't want it and you let it really dry and just use a really good eraser, it will come right off. I did that on a card the other day and it really, really did. It was just perfect. And then sort of, you know, with a very fine border, which is what I've got here, I absolutely need that wiggle room. And the other thing about Tombow is that if you put it on, if you're doing little intricate embellishments, you just let it dry for a few minutes. It's repositionable and it doesn't squirt out everywhere, and it's just, yeah, it really is a wonderful glue. And while it's wet, if you're putting down something like a layer like this, I don't put it too close to the edge so that it comes out, but you can actually push it to the edges as you're pushing it down. Probably should put the layer down first before I put the other dimensional embellishment on it, flower. And there it is. It just really very straightforward. Puppy pad, re-inkers, and a bit of fun. And, you know, a different size card, and you've got something unique. Thank you for watching. And please press subscribe and the notification bell so that you know when I'm putting out new videos. And hop on over to my blog where you can see the more detailed instructions. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye for now.